The week on my side was pretty good, very adventurous, even though it was a short week because Monday was Labor Day, and I spent the weekend up in Minnesota. Came back and had to get right into work, but it was a short week, only 4 days. But overall, pretty productive and challenging. But I think we met all, from my side, I think I met all of my challenges and first week of the new month. So it was good overall. It was very, very good overall. Good report from every side of the. Everything went pretty good for the week. Good reporting from every side of my family, work, career, business. Everything went pretty well. What about you, Ava? How was your week?
My week was day to day. I'm going through my rehabilitation, going through my healing process. So I don't get high, I don't get low. I'm just kind of even key right now and just working things out. On the business side, there are a few opportunities we stay chasing in terms of doing stuff in Liberia. So it was good. There's some other, one or two opportunities I saw that the general public will be interested in, that I would share one of them. So, overall, I always rated good, just to be here, just to be existing is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. So I'm just excited about the opportunity to be alive, the opportunity to engage, to learn, to share knowledge. You can't beat that. So we'll be having some technical difficulties from the studio. So you guys got to bear with us whenever Rufus goes off. We'll just, try to come in to fill it up. Hopefully, our streaming will still be, in the studio. But some of the things we can't control is one of the topics we'll be talking about today. So, um, El, if you want to lead, you can go ahead and kind of introduce the topic so we can have a continuous flow. And whenever Rufus comes in, he can join us.
For this side who will come in and join us. But I think what we need to do, let's just move ahead because we have people on in the studio here already online wanting us to jump in and talk about things. And if you want to go over there, Rufus is back now.
I guess we should
Go
start
ahead,
off.
Rufus.
Rufus, you want to finish? So it's a combination of network and electricity on that end. So I think we should just move ahead. What's your preference? Like, which one of the topics you want to delve into first? The impact of I think we'll be challenged by Rufus, the situation there. So I think we should just try to go ahead with the show, Akina. I think you're on mute. I can't hear you. So I think we should just go ahead and discuss the challenges of what's going on in business in Liberia. So maybe you can mute yours for now and go ahead and speak, Akina.
The topics for today, the first topic for today is electricity, the challenges that the electricity presents, okay, and its effects on Liberian businesses. Not only in Monrovia, as we all know, Liberia is greater than Monrovia, but Monrovia being the capital city, the largest, having the largest population density of the entire country. But the effects of it, the lack of electricity, the instability of electricity, the ineffective transmission, distribution, and supply of this very, very vital aspect of business success in a developing country, developing economy like Liberia is something that truly burdens small, medium, petty businesses and prevents them from growing. Like Rufus was saying, besides the taxes, I mean, the taxes are a constant, but business people are in business to make a profit. They're in business to start and then eventually grow. And I think one of the challenges, as I've always said, is that we in Liberia, leadership, however you define leadership, I don't like to use the word government, but leadership for the most part, really hasn't wrapped their minds, their heads around the importance of electricity, energy, the supply of it, the effective transmission, generation, and distribution of it across the country. And I think there's a general lack of understanding, also knowledge on the role it plays in growing the economy, creating jobs, attracting foreign investment, and most importantly, diaspora investments, not only to Monrovia, but to every part of this country, so that this country can truly become what it was intended to be: a prosperous, vibrant, a player on the stage of the Monrovia Union, the ECOWAS, and the African Union as a whole, and on the global stage. So until we get this right, and what we're seeing today, even in this show today, before coming on the air, power went off at the studio. So we're dealing with this. This is something that Liberian businesses deal with on a daily basis, and it affects their ability to be profitable, to pay their bills, to hire more people, to be efficient, to be productive, and to move to the next level, thereby growing the economy. So that's one of the topics for today. And then the second topic is the business landscape of Liberia, the opportunities and challenges, as Ava was alluding to. There's some opportunities there. So, and then we'll open up the phone line with the time that we have. So Ava, let's go at it. Let's start off with the challenges on the electricity side. Rufus was the one who started it all off. I mean, how do we see this thing now here? You can talk about the latest news that came out this week about CIE, Cote d'Ivoire Electric, through Transco and to LEC, the bills not being paid, hasn't been paid, threatening cutting the power off. So, go deep onto let's go deep onto this thing today. Over to you.
On that side, I would, kind of let you take the lead because you do deep dives into the sector. But from my viewpoint, I think it's just so embarrassing that we have to go through these embarrassment, with electricity. It's not like we don't know what our needs are. We really do know. And I believe we know the solutions as well. but we tend to play with the solutions, and we have not developed a consistency or national commitment to the affordability, to the access, or area reliability of electricity. You know, um, for us to still be playing around with, the provider of electricity for a significant portion of the population that we promised most recently to pay, it just confuses me. LEC is supposed to be a complex operation. It's supposed to be a profitable operation. It's basically close to a monopoly. And for it to not be able to, meet its basic mandate and its external commitments to the provider, I mean, from all indication, those people have been very patient. They have been very supportive and collaborative of the Liberian situation. But on our end, I don't think we are meeting the standard we are supposed to meet when it comes to the provision of electricity. And we can't even understate how important electricity is to the entire nation and to the development and economic aspects. It does everything for you. It enhances productivity, it supports innovation, it improves the quality of life of people, is a safety measure, is a crime deterrent. There's just so many things about electricity in terms of its impact. Not just talking about the negative side of it, the lack of it, or the limited access, or the unreliability, or how high our kilowatt per hour rate is compared with other countries out there. Sometimes it's just troubling. So we can go into the individual components that I see as impacting businesses, especially when there's limited electricity or lack of electricity. We can, at a high level, we can look at operating costs, which increase. We can look at the productivity, the efficiency, and the availability of the business. That's two. We can look at how it affects growth, because with all that, there's certain things you can expand on, right? Then the competition, how competitive are you as a business that cannot even get electricity, whether you only domestic or whether you engaging in international business? It affects you. It affects entrepreneurship, So people in the service sector, like even right now with the radio station, we're experiencing a little bit of impact. Agriculture, and we break that down in terms of how electricity in agriculture is so important. Then, the risk, because if, lenders cannot depend on you for your business to be open and available because of lack of electricity, there could be an impact on you in terms of your access to capital too. So all of these things, and the impact on, foreign investment. People want infrastructure they can meet to come and invest, and just yesterday, we're talking about a commitment from China, a memorandum of commitment with China on $3 billion in terms of a refinery. But in there, I believe there has to be a substance around electricity, because I don't know how you run a refinery without having significant energy. You can tell me if there's another way to do it. And then the downstream activities from the refinery, how would they operate, without current? So those are some of the things that our leaders need to think about and find solution for.
For laying out my talking points. As I've always said, I think one of the fundamental challenge we have, okay, you alluded to it, and I think this is so acute, meaning that it is at a very high level the lack of understanding, the lack of appreciation, the lack of knowledge. And I think, when people have they don't have that ability, okay, to wrap their minds around issues, around topics, around critical points, okay, that have long lasting effects on economic growth, development, job creation, attracting investments. What they tend to do is they tend to put the cart before the horse, right? Where the horse is supposed to be in front of the cart. So what happens is you're trying to attract investments, you're trying to attract the diaspora back to the country, but you forget to know that the diaspora, the reason why they're not in the country is because they built their lives in other parts of the world where electricity, energy plays a very vital role in their success, the advancement of their education, the wealth that they've acquired is all as a direct result of energy, electricity being available in those places. Now you want them to come back home to a place where electricity and energy doesn't exist. So how then will they be able to come back and position themselves strategically in that economy and then duplicate or replicate what it is they were able to do in the diaspora? So it's like you're being what's the word? You're not connecting the dots. There's a general lack of understanding in what you're trying to project. You're trying to attract people home from the diaspora to come and invest in a country where you don't have energy, you don't have an energy policy, an energy strategy, but yet and still all of the infrastructure that's needed to be effective and successful in this strategy, they're all available to you. So, and when it comes to Liberian businesses, I think the business sector plays a very important role in our economy, as we've been saying at the basis of this show. But the challenge for energy, again, in this sector, like you rightly said, how will the banking sector make an investment in your business when they themselves they're saddled with this energy issue as well? The operating costs for the business sector. I mean, the banking sector. I mean, just imagine what UBA, EcoBank, LBDI, AfriLand Bank, IB Bank, Global Bank, all of those, Bloom Bank, all of those banks, what they pay every month in terms of energy costs, whether it's generator, the fuel, the maintenance, and the pots and everything else, compared to having consistent, reliable, all the time electricity from the power company. And then people wonder why the interest rates are so high, because I mean, big businesses, they have to recoup that loss because that's an operating cost on their balance sheet. So if it's an operating cost on their balance sheet, what are they going to do? They have to the consumers. So someone has to pay for that loss because they cannot be less profitable. They have to be more profitable. So I think, it goes back to that point, the general lack of understanding as to how important energy is and the role it plays at every layer in every sector of the economy, be it for government or for the business sector. And until this matter is addressed effectively with the proper knowledge and understanding, we're going to be in this, valley of the shadow of death, or this wilderness, for a very long time. And last but not least on this point, I don't believe the problem is as complicated as an electrical engineer speaking. I think, I urge all of the electrical engineers who are listening to the program today, watching the program today, this is your time to pick up the phone, to call in, or to put comments on Facebook. I mean, this is not a complicated issue. You've got Mount Coffee with 4 turbines there, okay? Granted, we don't have a reservoir, it's a run-of-the-river hydro. So we can say for all intensive purposes, we've got good, stable, regular generation to some capacity coming from the hydro 6 months in a year. So what do we do to compensate for the other 6 months and also the growth in all of the housing sector? Because we, again, Ava, the construction sector of the country is increasing. People are building more homes and they're connecting these homes to the grid. So the demand is also increasing in a linear way. So we have Transco CLSG, a great infrastructure connecting Cote d'Ivoire through 5 substations in Liberia. And then we have LEC, who's the grandfather of all companies, whose responsibility it is to build the transmission, build the distribution and sub-distribution to connect all the places. But then you also have existing available technologies such as solar. You and I talked about this. Solar is such a great alternative today that can be blended into our generation capacity all across this country so we can build microgrid infrastructure. So the question for me is, why aren't these things being discussed in a meaningful way to address the energy issues or challenges within the country? I'd like to believe, and this is something I strongly believe, okay, I think it's deliberate. I will argue to anyone that I believe it's deliberate. I think it's intentional. I think it's purposeful. And I think it's consistently being done, because I think the greatest challenge for the business community in Liberia, those who control certain sectors of the economy, they're able to pass that cost, that energy cost, on to the consumers by increasing prices. That's why things are so expensive, because of the energy costs. So they're able to pass on those prices and retain their position in the community, in the economy, so that they will be able to control the revenues flow. Because don't forget, Ava, you know it better than me. You're the MBA man here with the finance and everything. Liberia gets almost about $350 million every year in remittances, and this is person to person. This money comes directly into this economy, and it feeds so many Liberians, and Liberians have to buy goods and services. So I think there's a deliberate attempt to keep this thing in this way. Why? Because you don't want the diaspora coming home, because once the diaspora Liberians come back and inject themselves into an economy that has stable, reliable, consistent electricity, these people are going to bring home their money, invest in the various sectors all across this country, and they're going to move this economy to such a higher level that those who control different sectors today will become marginalized. And I like to believe there's enough data to show it. And electricity is not that complicated, especially when you have Transco, you have LEC, you have over 200,000 meters connected. You have an estimated $50 per month per subscriber being paid. So LEC is generating revenue, but the question is, where is the revenue going? If the revenue is not being reinvested in the infrastructure to pay the bill back in La Cote d'Ivoire with CIE, then where is the money going? Because then the people of this country, the businesses of this country, we're being suffocated to death. I'll give you a chance to come in.
Sorry, we have to unmute. It looks like Rufus is back with us in some respect, but thank you. No, the point is well taken. Even if we break down the cost associated with people using generator because of the lack of electricity, the environmental impact, the expensive fuel, because a diesel fuel using generator is more expensive. And then that consistent maintenance that you have to do on your generator, on a regular basis to keep it going. And for some people, because of the nature of the business, they have maybe 12 hours, 18 hours. They got to probably have 2 generators, to balance the load. And what happens? Because of those costs, they got to price their product effectively for them to be at least profitable or at the minimum to break even. So they got to charge higher product prices. So all these things have a downstream effect, and we have to look at them. The government has to make a commitment to electricity and clearly have a national plan. I don't know that we really have a national plan in terms of the provision of electricity to what parts of the country, to what level of access people will have. So it's just difficult for anybody to really know or be clear on the predictability of the availability of electricity. So, my thing is, if people are not performing in that area, then the government or whoever responsible has to do something, because efficiency drops. The frequent power outage affect where people can produce. Sometimes your business is down. Sometimes even the banks use that as an excuse. No current when they don't have funds. Other businesses are actually impacted by that downtime because they cannot operate, they cannot sell their products. And in a day's time, you got limited availability to do some of those things. Then sometimes, if your processes are automated and you depend on it, somebody got to come to make a payment, you got to input it, you got to do this, you got to process through the system. If you don't have that automation, you got to resort to manual processes. And manual labor, we know, is much slower and prone to mistakes and sometimes less efficient. So all of those things affect it. And I'll talk about the hours. Our business can only be so open for so much in a day. If it happens that there's no electricity and they depend on electricity to function, it affects their business. And all of this in the larger impact is with multiple businesses being affected, is affecting the growth and expansion of the economy, is limiting what people can do when it comes to technology, because technology depends on electricity. That's just the fact. And if we are seeing, for example, government moving to e-government, we are trying to improve processes, build our dependence on technology, build efficiency and everything. If we can have electricity available, then we're limiting ourselves when it comes to technology. So it's very important that, the government presence with regards to electricity be more vibrant. They need to bring more people out to talk about this, to talk about its impact, and to talk about how they're solving the problem. So, we can't knock it enough. It's a big white elephant in the room that needs to be handled, but it got to be handled with strategy. It got to be handled with a plan. And it got to be handled with serious implementation of those efforts, because it ties in directly to the challenges, one of the major challenges that small businesses face. You can go ahead.
Point is 100% on, Ava, and I think that's where we as a people, we as a nation, the leadership is greatly challenged, right? If you don't have a plan, or if you don't have a vision, there's got to be a vision that you want to achieve. So let's talk about the leadership. We're not supposed to talk about politics here, but we can't avoid this point, right? So the president has an arrest agenda. The arrest agenda, the first letter in that agenda is A, for agriculture. Just asking the fundamental question, what role energy, electricity, the provision, the availability, the effective transmission, the generation, transmission, distribution of it across this country, what role is it going to play on just the first letter in that agenda, the arrest agenda, A? And as you know, the agriculture sector creates the largest number of jobs in this country. There's no doubt about it. The sector that creates the largest number of jobs in this country, be it private sector or be it independent jobs, is the agriculture sector. So if the agriculture sector creates the greatest number of jobs, and we ask the question now, what role is electricity going to play in that sector to help to grow the sector, grow the economy? Because what it means then, Ava, correct me if I'm wrong, just a 10, 15, or 20% increase in efficiency or the provision of electricity in that sector will translate into what? 15, 20% growth in job creation, private sector creation, wealth transformation, and development all across the different areas where this electricity is being used by the sector. Okay, let's go to the next step in that same agriculture sector on that letter. The number one product in the agriculture sector that we export is rubber. What role does electricity play in the rubber industry? We cannot continue along this path that we've been going down for almost 100 years in the rubber industry, where the lack of electricity prevents the creation of wealth in the agricultural sector, specifically in the rubber sector. Why? Because if you have electricity, then the rubber growers will be able to add value to their rubber by investing in rubber processing lines, where they would be able to find their own buyers overseas to supply their rubber and create more jobs and create more wealth in the agriculture sector, which is the largest sector of the Liberian economy. So all of this is all tied together. I think, again, I will beat on this point, even though I know the point has been beaten on, but we'll continue beating on the point. The lack of understanding of the role that energy, electricity plays in I wouldn't even say revitalization, because you can only revitalize something with when it was vitalized before, right? You can only bring something to life that used to be alive before. So the vitalization of the Liberian economy can only be achieved and successfully, move to the next level if we get this energy issue right. And we have all of the components. Liberia, there are more Liberian engineers in Liberia today compared to 5, 10, or 15 years ago. And they're just idle. Why aren't these people, being attached to LEC? Why isn't LEC as a company under the leadership of the president himself? Because everybody in the managerial role there is appointed by the president. Why is it that LEC is not decentralized in every county today, so that they will be able to build the microgrids in those counties to stimulate economic growth and put these engineers to work? I was born and raised in Firestone. Firestone, I've always made cement poles. Why aren't we making cement poles in the counties to connect the grid, to build the grid? If we understand how important electricity is, we're back to this thing again. And I think people like to behave like ostriches. They like to dig a hole and put their head in the ground and believe that this problem will just go away. No, it's not going to go away. There's no way you can escape electricity if you intend to make, on this arrest agenda where the letter A means agriculture, and agriculture is the key. Last week, we talked about how important the different sector outside of rubber. We talked about cassava chips. How are you going to grow that sector without electricity? We talked about cashews. How are you going to grow that sector? We talked about the diaspora food or the agro processing. How are you going to run the machines without electricity? So it's one thing to talk about it, it's one thing to promote it, but then it's a whole different thing to actually sit down to develop a plan and develop a strategy, and then bring the right people who are capable and available, right? And apply them to this plan and this strategy to produce the results that are needed to create jobs and transform this country. Because until we do this, the Liberian businesses will always be small and petty, right? They will always be small and petty, because the only thing that helps the growth process of businesses to move them from being a petty business to a small business and then to a medium-sized business is electricity. It's electricity. And until we can do that, there was something we discussed on the show before you came on, before you joined the team here, Abba. We talked about the fact that the big businesses in Liberia are able to take their energy costs, okay? They're able to take their energy costs, which is a great expense on their balance sheet, right? And move it to the consumers. So the consumers end up paying that cost. That's why they're profitable. That's why they're profitable. That's why they're so profitable in the lack of energy, or the instability of energy, or the inconsistency of it doesn't really faze them, because they're able, in an effective way and in a strategic and tactical way, to move that high cost onto the consumers, so the consumers end up paying for it and they remain profitable. But then when you look at this, when you look on the side of the small Liberian businesses, Rufus started off the show with talking about the guy say he can't even pay his rent, meaning that he can't even break even. He can't even break even because he's not because he's not able to convert, okay, to move that over to his customers, because his customer base is dwindling. His customer base is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. The old man who has a Kobo shop or small restaurant, how can she increase the price of food on her side, on her patrons or on her customers, where she can't even break even? So she's going to drive the customers away. So this thing has a longing effect, a deep effect at all levels of this economy. And those who believe it's just going to go away, or we would somehow just not talk about it, no, I think they're very, very mistaken. Over to you, Ava.
Your point is very well taken, and I just want to stress a little bit more on the impact on agriculture and agribusiness. With our electricity, we keep talking about trying to get our products in the market and in the international market, even the regional market. Yes, you can do it with the raw products that people just buy, like the grains and other stuff like that. But most times you need to add value. But let's even go back to the production or farming portion of it. You need irrigation systems. Most of those irrigation systems that were really to apply would depend on electricity. And we don't even have an overall focus. I know we have some rural renewable energy, but I don't see the impact they have made yet. So the impact of renewable energy is very critical to support, the traditional means of producing electricity. And if it's not there, irrigation systems will not work. Some of the machinery that people use for processing, they will not work. The equipment they use will not work. One of the key things we have problems with is storage. We don't have shelf life for most of our products. And in the production stages, sometimes the value addition stages, you need that. And if the people cannot get that, they will face post-harvest loss. And that affects the small business. Your point about the bigger business being able to pass on the cost to different people is true. Even the supermarkets do the same thing, So the Liberian consumer is the person who suffers the most. And then the small business is next in line, because they cannot preserve the food. They don't have power to do a lot of things. Some of the, like even the people who are charging phones, or the people who are doing some clerical work for people, a lot of people come to people to fill in forms, to make copies, to do, a lot of small business operations. And they're not there because sometimes there's no electricity, sometimes no generator, and those costs are high. So not to keep pounding this situation, but hopefully the people who have the power can actually develop a plan that they can start to implement that could progressively say we are at, 20% access today. Next month, we'll be at 21. By the end of the year, we'll be at 25. 2025, we'll be at 35, until we can see that progressive improvement in the electricity sector, and people are actually, going about the business owners are producing to the level expected. And sometimes it's possible that prices will come down if there's increased efficiency, there's increased electricity, there's increased productivity, all of those things can happen. So we can only wish that the powers that be pay attention and try to help the Liberian people as we move through this phase, because we're still trying to approach the industrial phase. And if we don't have energy, now light manufacturing, we're talking about all those other things, we'll not be successful with it. And we'll be in the same position we are 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if we can solve these fundamental problems of first electricity, next roads, then we're talking about water and sanitation, and then we're talking about our internet. Those four things, if we can get them right, we don't have a foundation for modern Liberia. Well,
You mentioned the key word there of a foundation. Foundation. Okay, you mentioned that word foundation. You brought it up. So how are we going to build this house? How are we going to put up this structure called Liberia? Okay, with multiple levels. So that means we're looking to build a very tall structure that will hold everybody's dreams, aspirations, industries, and everything without having a solid foundation. There's no other foundation that can be built for a nation except on a foundation that will be deep, wide, and solid than energy. So, I mean, not like you said, we don't want to beat on it so much. But again, you talk about sanitation. So when you collect all of the garbage, what are you going to do with it? You go do a landfill, and that landfill can produce gas for you, and then you're back to generating electricity from landfill gas. You're doing the roads. I mean, the rule of law. How will you have a justice system that will be effective across this country, that will be integrated so that lawyers and the different courts will be connected and back to the anti-corruption commission and so forth and so on, without stable electricity to run the data highway, the data networks, and the mobile phone companies. I mean, you look at the cost of telecommunication, the cost of data in Liberia. It's all rooted, grounded, tied to, and dependent on the cost of energy for all the cell phone and internet service providers. So I think there's something we need to go deeper on, but won't do on the show today. But we talked about one of the topics we wanted to talk about was challenges and opportunities, right? So if I will connect the challenges and the opportunities to all of the different diaspora organizations across the U.S., right? The alumni associations for different schools, be it St. Patrick's, be it Cathedral, be it SWAM Mission, BWI, the list goes on. Then you look at all of the diaspora organizations for all the different counties. So you got the Maryland County Association, Alofa County, then you have all the different tribal associations across the U.S. Let's just look at that, for example, as an opportunity or a challenge. Okay? An opportunity, a set of opportunities that can meet challenges in Liberia. So what about the Lofa County Association in the U.S. or the Bapolu County Association in the U.S. or whether it's Riverside or Grand Crew County Association in the U.S. and all of the school associations in those counties, building solar power systems, microgrids, funding those things with all of their, finding a way to make investments in those things in their counties, so that we can then meet that challenge of energy in the counties, and then use the existing technologies of metering those systems to customers in their cities or their towns, so that they can improve the level of education and support small, medium Liberian businesses in those areas, because that's what a microgrid can be. I mean, this week on our platform, on our WhatsApp group, you put a project that you did on the BWI campus. And I put something up on there that was a 250 kVA microgrid. I mean, 500 kVA for a town like Sastan or a town like Grandcess. That's a lot of power. That's a small microgrid that could probably connect maybe 250 homes with lighting and support small Liberian businesses in some way, shape, or form. And then that microgrid investment that came from the citizens in the diaspora, they can get a return on their investment by putting in building the poles to connect the different companies or the different businesses and then collecting that money. Why? Because the payments can come through Sendwave. So I think, this thing needs to be discussed at a higher level, for those who are listening here on this program today. Let's have a conversation about this, because leaving this and depending 100% on government will not solve the problem. That's what business talk is all about. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ava. This is where we have a meeting of the minds, where we can sit, we can discuss, we can figure things out, we who are in the private sector, so that we can bring opportunities to meet challenges, and then we can bring about transformation back in Liberia in some way, shape, or form. Okay, over to you, Ava.
Oh, without doubt, what you're saying is very critical. Shout out to all the people out there who are watching the show, who are joining us. Small businesses are extremely important, and being able to have or facilitate an environment where they can work in and not be disadvantaged, like how they are with regards to the lack of or limited access to electricity, is troubling, because the small businesses are the engine. They are the engine of the economy, and being able to have them run is critical. You talk about the project we did is essential. That decentralizing electricity, having microgrids in different places, and the thing is, with electricity, you can support so much, right? Around that model of integrating solar energy with water and agriculture, you can also incorporate sanitation, because you got water now that running. You can pump those water even into homes or into businesses. Then with that, you're able to get sanitation. And we know if you're running water, you reduce diseases by nearly 40%. If somebody can just, or even soap, they can just go under the water and wash their hands and stuff like that, and try to apply some basic hygiene. Is the opportunities are so huge for us to transform our people. One of our models even includes a public sanitation house, where you can have people, back in the day when I was growing up on Lane Street, right behind Department of Defense, we have government toilet. Today, and those government toilet, they didn't have stalls. People had to just squat on top of the thing. I don't know if they're government toilets today, but our public sanitation house would be able to have doors that people can have some level of privacy. You're not just hanging there like you're doing on the beach. So, it's important for government to think on these things and start providing these to people, or even the private sector can look at it as a potential business, to be able to, charge people, or communities. You mentioned the different community associations. One of the key things some of them can do is just focus on water, sanitation, and hygiene. If they can invest in public sanitation houses for the people, it will make a big difference, where somebody there is policing it. Somebody there is, whether that $25 Liberian people pay to come and take a shower, or to come and use the bathroom or something, it will make a difference. It will reduce the open defecation that we're facing. So being able to find creative solutions to the problems we face among ourselves, with us having significant diaspora input, being welcomed by the local people, makes a big difference. All these different community development associations, they can start businesses that can compete. I mean, look, you find Chinese people all over our country right now in the thickest, densest bush. They are there because they know what they're trying to get out, our minerals. And some of them will go down to even selling from wheelbarrow if necessary. So we can have that business mentality that want to own our economy. We want to be the people who do business in Liberia, or at least a significant part of the business climate. Like I said before, we're not trying to throw out the foreigners, but we're trying to give Liberians what are due to Liberians. That's the idea. So we try to engage as much as possible and get their viewpoint, the Liberian Business Association, the Liberian Chamber of Commerce, the Business Association of Liberia, because, they got different groups around, businesses. And even some of these institutions that are doing things to support business, we get them on here. The successful entrepreneurs, we get them on here. We just have to, define our programming and be able to, get those guests that can contribute to the pool of knowledge that our people need when it comes to this. So I don't know whether our man is in the studio, Rufus, whether it's still available for him to, see if he can bring on a few people who would like to maybe ask questions or call in. If not, I can share my number. I don't have a problem with people calling just to, get an input, provide their input or ask some questions on some things we may have skipped over or may not have dealt in, in depth that they want to understand. So I don't know which direction you want to go in. Rufus in the studio, I don't think so. So I can try to share my number and see. I used to have a
before you share your so we don't have the echo.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think one of the great point number two today was business landscaping, Liberia opportunities and challenges. Yeah. So I think this diaspora issue, right? This diaspora opportunity to get all of the Liberian associations, organizations, county associations, organizations, tribal associations, alumni associations. I think if we can pull ourselves together and look at the power of solar alternative energy and the microgrid potential, what it provides, what it offers to support small Liberian businesses in the counties, as well as powering up schools and as a revenue generating stream and as an investment opportunity for that organization in the US, making a transformational change back in Liberia. I think that's where the recipe for success and transformation for Liberia as it relates to the energy sector. Yeah. I really believe that. I really believe that because if you take the Grand Bassa Association, for example, and you take all the different schools, associations in the diaspora in Grand Bassa, if they pool their resources, they can build microgrids. They can build microgrids that will, with solar power, and then build their own and connect. I really believe that.
Your point is on. That's your point is on.
So let's go to the lines. If you see
yes, if anybody calling, I'll bring the call up. Yeah, but your point about these different organizations and institutions helping is wonderful. That's why I applaud the Alumni Association of BWI, the Alumni Association in the Americas, because they made that effort to foot the bill, in collaboration with us for that project that's at BWI. They did a great job raising the funds. And Edwin Harris, who was the president at the time, he may still be the president. He was very, very, focused and determined for this to be a success story. So right now we're trying to get in touch with the vice principal to see how we can, the challenge that we have with the borehole well. And that's one of the things that affects small businesses or just business operation in general. Sometimes you hire people and they don't do a job properly. The guy who dug the bowl well did not dig it down to the 100-foot level that we wanted to, because the water table is not that high over there. It's a little lower. So the water was bringing up some mud and stuff that was affecting the irrigation process, and that has to be solved. So hopefully we'll solve it very soon. We'll identify another small business individual who claims he's able to repair this, and we'll see how he will do. And then hopefully he will be the one that we can use as a partner as we go forward and engage other people, with regards to those who want to do, implement our model, whether it's just for, sanitation, water sanitation and hygiene, whether it's for agriculture. We have a model for rest stops, along the highway. So there's just so many ideas and innovative things that we can do if we have electricity. So I just hope we as a people can wake up. The Power Africa and the other tools out there, we can be able to, get them, help people apply for some of those things and to be able to win those awards. I'll give you one example. We're not successful, but we try to assist the clinic, what's that, 14 Medical Hospital that he mentioned earlier. Their bill for electricity or for the generator is $35,000 a month to run that facility. That's significant. That's huge. If you put a solar plant there, it will not get to that, what's that, nearly 400,000 a year. No, it will be much less, and you don't have to worry about the level of maintenance or buy that volume of fuel. So hopefully our people can really look at the cost benefit analysis of what the impact of fuel is on our economy, on our government institutions, and on small businesses as well. So, this is just an important setting, and I just want us to see how we can really continue this, expand it. It's not the easiest thing for people to listen to, but if one or two persons are impacted by anything we share, or by them being able to share what they think is the problem that somebody can help solve, I think will be, extremely impressive to show results. And we ourselves too, we got to start seeing how, to some extent, some of the things we talk about, we can put in practice with people, that they can be test cases of what we do and how we provide advice to people and how it impacts them and makes them successful as business people. Another thing I want to mention is the Africa Trade Initiative. That's the USAID West Africa is a project that they are on right now. I think the project is anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million for businesses that can improve, and scale up with regards to trade in Africa, especially U.S.-Africa trade, whether it's import or export, finding that nice balance and impacting that sector, because we all know China is coming. China wants to do a lot of things in Africa, but the U.S. also wants to maintain its posture, its standing in West Africa and engage with people. So if you want to go and research the Africa Trade Initiative, I believe is the 16th. I can find a link in a little bit, but I think it's an opportunity for Liberian businesses to try to research and try to see if they can apply for it, and be able to, win something. Because if you are able to, put in RFA 19, request for application 19, and it's called the West Africa Grant Opportunity. So you can be able to submit your application there. Let me see if I can put a banner and share this, because it's important. They just kicked it off. I believe the issue is August 30th. So the questions and submission deadline is September 12th. And then the they expect the closure for receipt of applications is October 31st. So that's an opportunity, hopefully, that business will take advantage of. Let me share that information with them. And I'll have to create another banner, of course, but the opportunity is huge. You can't not want to pursue this Africa trade initiative and look at the scale of what they're trying to do, right? So you don't have to do this alone. That's one of the things we have to start to learn as Liberians. We have to be able to work together and sometimes build a critical mass that can have an impact on our application for these grants and these loans. People want businesses that are doing things. They want businesses that already have a financial system registered, able to get, especially if you're doing business with America, you need to go and register on something called SAM.gov. That's the government system for purchases and stuff like that. That's where all American government businesses put all their different requests for proposal, their solicitations and everything are on there. And now they got something called UEI. I think unique entity identifier. Everybody who does business with the US has to get that. So, it's where it's at. It's an opportunity. We have to pursue it. If you got questions about it, ask me. I will share as much as I can. I think I should share it here as well. So people can, in terms of the comments, so some people can copy it and be able to use it, because that's the idea. We want people to be able to take advantage of all these opportunities. It's not secret. Sometimes we gotta obviously go and search for some of these things, but the more people participate in this, I think the better it is for us as Liberian business people, Liberian entrepreneurs. Go ahead.
One of the things that we business development specialists, one of the things that we do is we try to build coalitions, build partnerships, bring people together around solving a problem or solving an issue, addressing business challenges or exploiting opportunities. And when you look at the Liberian economy, we talk about the different groups in the economy. The Chinese are coming, the Lebanese, the Indians, what and whatnot. But one thing you have to remember is that these people operate with a plan. They operate with a strategy, and they hold together. And because they hold together, they realize or recognize that everyone in that togetherness has a strategic, specific role to play. And that role that they're playing that role in a specific segment of that market that they're looking to control, to dominate, and to profit from. And that's where we Liberians fall short. We don't have a plan. We don't have a strategy. We don't have the upper level, higher level thinking. We're not communicating. We're not exchanging information. We're not having the meetings, the discussions. We're not seeing each other as possible partners to cooperate to achieve an objective. We see each other as competitors, and everybody wants to do the same thing on their own. So as a result, what happens is we end up wasting, throwing money away, where everyone tries to do the same thing, as opposed to us pulling our resources together. And if we don't grow to the next level where we recognize that we Liberians, the time that we've spent in the diaspora, working for Fortune 500 companies and working in different areas with different specializations, competences, expertise, if we don't have this desire to come together and put our differences aside and say, you know what, we need to address this, and let's put the best people in front to lead this, to direct this, and so we can then put our weight behind it and then execute, and then we all benefit from the fruits. Because if we don't bring forth the transformation, for this country, we're going to remain in this position for a long time. And all of the other groups who were exploiting the business opportunities in Liberia will continue to profit, to benefit, and to grow. And I mean, we all know that our national budget is about 800 million. Remittance into the country is 350 million. And then by the time you consider private sector budget from Firestone to Mittal and other companies, you're looking at another 2 or 3 billion. So when you add it all together, I mean, 2 or 300 million. When you add it all together, Liberia, you know, we're turning a revenue of close to $2 or $3 billion. So what role are Liberians playing in this economy? What role are we playing? And if we don't wake up, get up, and get ready to move on the opportunities that are before us and meet the challenge of putting our differences aside and coming together and using the resources that we have abroad to bring about effective transformational change in our economy, creating jobs, providing investments, I don't see any way for us to move forward. Depending on government and blaming government for everything, I don't think that's the way to go. Energy remains a challenge, but we in the private sector, with the project that you did on BWI, I think that's a great project. It can be expanded. BWI is strategically positioned in Kakata. Kakata is a robust city. It sits at a strategic point. It is the home to the largest vocational training institute in the entire country. It should, alternative energy project on that campus can power up that campus and also power up Kakata and be able to generate revenue to also allow that institution to be above the rest. But the thinking's not there. The coming together is not there. I must commend you, Ava, for that project there. And I think that's where we need to move. That's where our challenge lies.
One of the things about that I want to share too is that your point about Kakata being like properly positioned is so perfect, right? Kakata being where it's at with BWI, like you say, the top vocational, secondary school in the country, with them having a lot of equipment already, they just need a little push to be able to be productive in terms of, what they come from the farm and how they can build new technology and new knowledge over there. Look, the government is talking about centers of excellence or 5 regions of specialization across the country, and I think they should be tied to educational institutions, because when you tie it there, and build an entrepreneurship model out of that, that those institutions can serve as extension services as well with the government support, and definitely county officers and district officers, for everything. They have the opportunity to really build on that and impact, anything we do from a business perspective in that particular region. So even maintaining equipment, that can be part of the training for those people. Building new farms, that can be a part of the training for those people. Like from the clearing, helping the farmers understand. People, a lot of people going to regenerative farming right now. And that's a process that has been proven successful in Nimba. The people in Nimba, I will find the name of the Sheets operation that's up there and share with people. At some point, we'll really get into a deep dive in agriculture and the value chain and other activities. But it's just a lot of opportunities that don't cost too much. It's just about building on what's there. The same way, if Liberian businesses can try to say, look, I don't have to be CEO or just get a title. Me and you can work together. You're the CEO, my man. Let's work together. You got a steady operation already. I'm trying to do close to the same thing you're doing. Let's build a mass that can be more critical in terms of how we enter the market, how we impact the market, how we coordinate, how we create products, how we sell products. So that perspective of Liberians working together, like how we see, and we've seen it here in the diaspora. We see the Ethiopians, how they work together in certain sectors. We see the Nigerians, how they work together. We see the Indians, how they control some of the small hotel chains. We see how they are in technology, how they bring each other in. We right in our own country, we see the Fulas, we see the Lebanese, we see now the Chinese doing the same thing. We see the Indians. Okay, so why can we use some of those models as examples for us to collaborate and coordinate our efforts so we can be more effective at business and doing things the right way? So this show has been great. I got a hard stop, but if you got some parting words before I leave, I'm always open to learning. So go ahead.
Say in parting, to reinforce your point, I think one of the most important math problems I've come to learn, right? Mathematical equations that I've come to learn in business, 100% of nothing is nothing. Okay. So if you understand that 100% of nothing is nothing, then you will also learn the next thing is that intellectual property, right? The knowledge, the understanding on a specific issue has its own value. So sometimes the person who has the capex, right? The actual money to invest may not be the person with the idea. And the person with the idea may not have all the money to invest. And that's why you have this coming together where it's not about who's the CEO or who owns the company. It's all about what the objective is and what the goal is. And it is in this coming together that we form this relationship, this strategic business relationship to achieve this objective. And then what we do, we staff to this plan by bringing in people with different talents, different know-how, different capabilities, competences, and then we build this team. I think that's where, like, we Liberians, be it at home, be it in the diaspora, this is the challenge of our time. I think if we can, think, learn, and grow, and to meet this challenge, I think we'll be able to achieve great things in our country. Because if you look at those who are competing with us in our own country, what's the difference? They've come together. They've identified what the objective is. They've developed a plan, and then they've put together a strategy. And then they're executing that strategy to achieve that plan and to ultimately achieve the objective, which is to be profitable in the country of Liberia, because they know that there's an $800 million budget for government. There's $350 million coming in for money remittance. And then there's another 300 million or so coming from the private sector, the Firestone, the Metals, and everybody else, that's being spent in this 47,000 square mile area. So let us, you and you guys go to Grand Bassa, you and you go to River Says, you and you go to Hopper, you and you go to Plebo. These guys strategically position themselves, and they know the money comes in every day through the internet on everybody's smartphones. So they just prepare themselves and put their buckets out there and then receive it because they're strategically positioned, because they have a plan. So that's the big issue for us, the big challenge for us. And that's what this platform is. Let's come together. Call Ava, call me, whatever the case is. Let's put together. This is not about who owns the company. It's all about how do we win the game. That's why we call ourselves the team. It's not about, Ava doesn't score the goal by himself. He doesn't take the ball from the 0-yard line and score. No. Somebody has to pass it to him. And then somebody has to pass it to the next guy. And then the next guy has to run. And somebody has to pass the ball. That's why the team wins. The team gets the trophy. Even though everybody gets a ring, but everybody played a strategic part and an important part on the team to win the league. And I think that's where we Liberians have to grow up to. And until we grow to that level, we're going to remain in this challenge position where everybody just, picks us apart and, benefits from what is rightly ours. And we just, we would just be people in the stadium and watching and complaining and, crying every day that, why things can't get better. So I think this is a motivation. Let this be a motivation that we need to move to the next level. Let's go from complaining to communicating and then planning, strategizing, coming together to achieve the objective. Those are my parting words. Go ahead, Ava, and then we can go back to Rufus if he's online.
Yeah, I got to share this. I know you've been talking about remittances what is it, 350 million. I think you gave me 1999 numbers, to be honest with you. I'm reading something here. Remittances are a significant source of foreign exchange for Liberia. In 2022, remittances inflows reached $1.2 billion, according to the World Bank. This was up from 900 million in 2021. So the significance of remittances on our economy cannot be understated. We really, really have to see how we can leverage that money into whether it's a Liberia Equity Fund or Liberia Development Fund or some kind of concentration for business, and improving our country. We are able to do it with the volume of money, even if 10% of that, which would be 120 million, was going for development purposes in our different towns, cities, and stuff like that. That's a huge impact. So let's reconsider the paradigm of, the purposes of remittance and how they are expended in the country, and see how we can fix them. Yes, some of this may be business, and I will try to get into the numbers and break it down. There could be business remittances as well. But we from the diaspora have significant input into what's going on in Liberia from a financial perspective. And we need to leverage that for better development. And, not just, and this not even counting the money that people put in their pocket and carry to them to Liberia, when they go on flights, when they go travel, all that spending money. So there's a lot that's not, and a lot of people don't even declare fully the money they're taking when they're taking money, abroad. So there's huge opportunity here for us to really, really make a difference. So thank you for that point. I'm part of a group, and that's why I'm so interested in the remittances. That very soon we'll be launching, our remittance business, and there will be other byproducts. We'll be doing a lot of cross-border. That means, whether that Guinea, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, then in the region with other African countries or just across Africa, being able to send money to other countries. And then we're working on that. We're very close to getting our US platform, which will be one of the biggest things that can happen to us. And then hopefully we'll put Sendwave in the dust. That's our goal, because we believe that Liberianizing a business like that, even getting more Liberians to be a part of it, as equity owners, that they can see that stuff growing, they can be a part of it, they can invest in it, and they can be able to protect that brand. That's one of the biggest ways we think we can impact. Because again, like we said, if we come together to do business and make things easier, so we have that opportunity, our own public offering at some point where Liberians can be a part of this, remittance thing, because majority of Liberians have touched remittance one way or the other, whether domestic remittance, which is something that we are looking to improve as well in collaboration with the key players, the central bank, the other, commercial banks, because we want financial inclusion for our people. We want to move our dependency from that paper money to how we can use financial technology to really expand the inclusion of more people in the economy. So these are all things that we really need to focus on and see how we can work on and how we can make a difference. And participation, collaboration, cooperation, communication are all effective aspects of how we as Liberians can build our business posture and begin to own those sections of the economy that really should be naturally ours. Thank you. I think it was a great show. Hopefully, more people will start to gravitate towards listening here, or they can listen afterwards, and we'll try to share this as widely as possible. So thank you for the time. Folks, have a great day. We appreciate all those who participated in the different comments. It's very important to keep us going. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, folks.